First question, a pretty easy one. Are you happy that the people are finally able to see In the Heights in the cinema, in the theaters?
Yes.
Ditto.
Like, it's we were very happy in the winter of 2020 when we were finally getting our summer release, and having to wait a year and a half as opposed to half a year has only added the poignancy of a musical about community. We have been deprived of community for so long, and this movie is just a big reminder of how powerful and wonderful that can be.
There's a moment after Carnaval when the entire cast is cheering and they're in unison, they're going, New York. And that happened organically. That's not a scripted moment, nor was it a rehearsed moment. We had so little time to film that number. We had one day, and it's a very complicated dance sequence in a tight space. And so they just started cheering when they pulled it off. And it's been so long since we're allowed to cheer with other people in a space, you know? So even to, I think, watch people cheer out of joy, it's instead of sheer joy, it's like cheer joy, you know? So it feels good. I'm really excited.
The Heights are kind of like an own character in the film. Did you have a similar community growing up, and how much is the whole story based on your own biographies?
Yeah, I grew up about 20 blocks north of where we filmed the movie. And it's a hell of a thing to write a love letter to a neighborhood, in my case, northern Manhattan, and then get the opportunity to make a movie of that love letter in the neighborhood it's about. So there's layers to it for me. When I see Nina and Benny singing When You're Home in J. Hood Wright Park, which is the park I walk through with my son every day to take him to pre-K, which is where my wife's first apartment without roommates was, on 173rd, from where she could see her grandmother's building because her father grew up in Washington Heights. Those are all in the movie. So there's real layers to the experience of watching the film, not just the many years of working on this art and this story, but my actual lived experience in the neighborhood.
I got emotional hearing your answer, Lynn, because our kids, when my kids were preschool age, they went to preschool together and we would take them together. And anyway, that made me a little nostalgic. But, you know, I think the fact that the community is a character, and I would call it the lead character, just is a testimony to, I grew up in Philadelphia. I live in Washington Heights now. But my experience in that community was that it wasn't, everyone could be themselves, but it wasn't a highly individualistic community. It was about the connections we make and the circles we share. And so I think you can see that in all my writing, but especially in the Heights, that there's not really a single protagonist. It's not the hero's story. It's our story. It's like locking arms and seeing what reverberates between the characters. And that is what feels like home to me.
All right. Then, final question, a quick answer. In this year, we just have, In the Heights, we have the remake of the West Side Story, and we have Dear Evan Hansen is also coming to cinema. Why do you think that movie musicals are kind of coming back?
I don't know, but I'm so thrilled they're here. And what I'm so excited about, of the three you listed, I think there's at least a few more coming. There's something about Jamie. There's also Tick, Tick, Boom. And again, we grew up at a time when there were very few movie musicals. The movie musical was in decline and dead in the 80s. So much so that I can count them. It's Labyrinth, Fame, Newsies. There's very few of them. And so I grew up loving the older musicals. I grew up loving West Side Story and Fiddler on the Roof, and even before that, the MGM musicals, the Bandwagon, Singing in the Rain, Guns Like Molly Brown. You know, I'm very happy Hollywood is taking chances on movie musicals again, and I think the key to maintaining that is is the diversity that you see on display this year. You'd never confuse In the Heights with Dear Evan Hansen. You'd never confuse There's Something About Jamie with West Side Story. So as long as we can continue to demonstrate that musicals can tell all kinds of different stories, I think it'll be a healthy genre for years to come. Here's hoping.